My name is Fred Church. I'm an instructor here for the Canandaigua Driving School, which is attached to Leonards Transportation. We're here today to demonstrate the inspection process and talk about some of the compliance issues. We start the inspection process. The first thing we're going to do is raise the hood, and we're going to check our fluids and inspect the engine compartment and the inside of the front wheels. In order to do that, we have to tip down our grill guard and raise the hood. Our grill guards are a type that tips down. The hood unlatches. These just lift up. As we approach the truck, we look underneath for fluids on the ground, and we look for the truck to be leaning from one side or the other, which would indicate mechanical problems, either in the suspension if it were leaning, or fluids on the ground, which would indicate a mechanical problem. As we look over the truck, we're also looking for any damaged, broken, or missing parts. We look down both sides of the truck. We look the tractor all over. And what we're looking for is anything that's damaged. As a driver, you want to make sure that everything is in one piece. Your mirrors are all good. Everything is structurally sound. Okay, one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to pull the oil stick out and check and make sure the oil is full and looks clean. We're also going to check the truck over to make sure we don't see any broken or missing parts. We're inspecting all the hoses, parts of the engine that we can see, and we're looking for anything that's shiny, broken, or missing. We're checking our wipers up here, making sure everything is structurally sound, and it's okay to touch this stuff because this is part of the inspection that should be done before you even start the truck. Look around here. We're going to look down here at our steering, all of our steering parts. We would grab a hold of the steering shaft and give it a little twist and make sure that that's tight. Steering box, all of the parts of the steering are in good shape. From this vantage point, we can check the inside of the wheel and the tire and inside the brakes. And we're looking for anything that's broken, shiny, or missing. Again, lots of brake parts in here, air lines, electric lines, and any wheel oil that we might see on the inside of the drum. We're going to check the rest of our fluids, which would be the power steering fluid. On this side of the truck, we're looking at the coolant levels. We're going to reach in here, we're going to push on the belts, make sure the belts are snug and not frayed. We want to look at all the hoses and the fittings under here to make sure we don't have any leaking. On this side we have our window washer fluid. We'll check that. We're looking at parts for the air conditioning unit and other things, the springs, the hangers, the suspension system. We're also looking at the brakes here, make sure nothing's broken or out of place. We're looking at the air lines and electric lines inside of this wheel and the brakes. Make sure there's no oil leaking out of the inside of this wheel, and we're checking the inside of the tire for any damage and the rim for any damage. Now we're going to close up the hood. You might want to make sure they're locked down so that your hood is secure. The one over here on the passenger side, lock this down. Make sure it's latched tight, the hood is secure. And we're going to secure our bump. And that's latched down tight. We're all good to go. We'll check on the hood to make sure it's secure. At this point, we're going to start with a walk-around inspection. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to inspect the front of the truck, and we're looking for any damage, anything that's broken or missing, mirrors, top of the truck, and so on. As we look at that, we're going to make sure that our lights are on and working on the top of the cab. We're going to look at this windshield to make sure it's clean, free of cracks, and there's not any obstacles or illegal stickers or anything that would interfere with our vision. We're going to check the hood, make sure there's no damage there. We're looking at our mirrors for damage. We're also inspecting the hood to make sure it's secure, the grille. The license plate is in place, which is something that you have to have as your license plate. We're also looking to make sure that our compliance stickers are in the windshield. This being a brand new truck, they don't appear to be in there yet. We would be looking for our inspection sticker, which is on the on the fender right there. We would be looking for a hut sticker. We would be looking for our IRP stickers. We would be looking for our registration in the window, and those are all also things that are part of the compliance. Looking at the headlights to make sure they're working, and we would be looking at the four-ways. From the front, we move around to the passenger side. One of the things you're looking for is that if the sticker to make sure you're in compliance when you go out of state. We're looking at the mirror to make sure it's secure. We're making sure that the door is secure and works okay. Our steps are secure. Our hood is secure. Our turn signal is working. Our storage door is secure. Our fuel cap is secure and in place. The front wheel, we're going to check this wheel. We want to check it for 100 psi. You should put a gauge on there. A lot of people just thump them or inspect them. At least take a look. On the tread depth, 4/32 or more. No tire damage to the surface, no tire damage to this sidewall. Make sure the surface looks good. On your rim, no cracks, dents, or welds. Your lug nuts need to all be in place. No rust spotting indicating a loose one. Your hub needs to be secure and not leaking. And your valve stem needs to be secure, undamaged, and the cap has to be on. At this point, we're going to check the back of the tractor, and we're looking at the exhaust system to make sure we don't see any leaks from soot or any place where there's been exhaust leaks coming out. Everything is secure, no damage. We're looking at the back of the cab. The back of the cab looks to be in good shape. There's no broken or missing parts. The air conditioning unit here is secure. Special note, the air lines and electric line are securely mounted to the back of the tractor and properly connected to the trailer. Our Comfort Pro here, which is a nice unit for heat and air conditioning when the truck's not running. That's secure to the frame. I see no leaks. My drive line looks to be secure. I see no damage or missing parts. I'm also looking at the air ride suspension for the back of the cab. I'm looking at suspension parts and brake parts and air lines that I can see here. I see nothing that's broken or missing. And I'm checking this quarter fender to make sure this quarter fender is secure. At this point, I want to look at the nose of the trailer, and I see no damage up there, and it looks like the lights are all working. At this point, we're going to check the fifth wheel and the fifth wheel slider and the fifth wheel handles. And we're going to look under here. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the slider pins to be locked in the rails. I'm looking for no daylight between the bottom of the trailer and the top of the fifth wheel. And I'm looking for that fifth wheel to be locked. Now I can't see the handle on this side, but I can see it from the other side. But one of the things I insist on with my students is that you get under here and you take a good look up inside that fifth wheel and make sure the jaws of that fifth wheel are locked around that kingpin. That's imperative. If you've looked at that, you won't lose a trailer. We're going to check our mud flaps, and then we're going to go over these tires and wheels. These tires and wheels all have to have 100 psi in them. They all have to have at least 2/32 of tread. The surfaces need to look good, and all these tires need to be the same size. When I look in here, I'm looking for any damaged or broken parts in the suspension that I can see. I'm looking between the wheels for anything that might be stuck in there, which we refer to as debris stuck between the tires, and we're looking for daylight between the rims. From this point, we're going to turn right around and we're going to look at the condition of the landing gear. We're looking for broken or missing parts or anything that's bent or damaged. The landing gear needs to be secure to the bottom of the trailer, and we're looking at what we can see of the rails and so on under the trailer. Again, that only takes just a quick glance. We're making sure that the landing gear is all the way up and that the handle is secure, and we'll check that when we get around to the other side of the trailer. We're looking at the overall condition of the trailer, which looks good. Our reflective tape is in place. This aerodynamics right here is in good shape, not loose or broken, no damage to it. Our turn signal is working. These hazmat placards need to be showing blank unless you have a hazardous material on here. So these need to be turned down. You can't have any hazardous materials placard showing going down the road unless you have hazmat on there. So you need to make sure that this is blank. If you do have hazardous materials on there, make sure you have the correct one showing. We get back here, we're going to look at the condition of these wheels and tires the same way we did up there. We're going to check in here, take a look around, and what we're looking for is space between the rims, which would indicate a loose wheel or anything stuck between the tires. And again, we're going to check all 4 of these tires. They all have at least 100 psi in them. Trailer tires have to have 230 seconds of tread or more. Surfaces need to look good without any damage to them. And all 4 of these tires need to be the same size. On these wheels, we're going to check the outside of the tire for any cuts, cracks, or bulges. The rim, cracks, dents, or welds. Lug nuts all need to be in place. No rust indicating a loose one. The hub needs to be secure and tight, not leaking any oil. And here, instead of valve stems and caps, we're checking these air lines that keep the tires full of air. Make sure they're secure, undamaged, and you don't see any leaks in it. Same thing with this wheel. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to check the outside for cuts, cracks, bulges, cracks, dents, or welds on the rim. Lug nuts all need to be tight, no looseness indicating no missing or loose lugs, and no rust indicating a loose one. This hub needs to be secure with no leaks, and we're checking these air lines to make sure they're not rubbing, they're not cut, cracked, damaged, they're tight, and nothing leaking on those. I'm checking this mud flap and bracket to make sure it's secure. I'm checking what I can see of the suspension from this point, and I'm also looking inside the wheel at the brakes to make sure there's nothing leaking in there. The brake linings look like they have enough thickness to them. And I'm looking at the air lines, the airbags, and everything I can see under there for anything that might be damaged, broken, or missing. We're going to make sure that the doors function. So we're going to open these doors, inspecting the overall condition of the doors to make sure they're working and there's no damage to the inside of the doors. Inside of the trailer, we're looking for daylight. If we see daylight, that means there's a hole someplace in this trailer. We're looking at the floor, overall condition, and cleanliness. We're going to go ahead and close these doors up, and we're going to make sure that all of the locks and latches work. We're going to check to make sure this hook in the latching system is secure, because when we bring the doors open to back into a dock, we want to be able to latch this like so. If you're going to be going into an area where you can't see the doors very well, for example backing into an inside dock, you might also want to put a tarp strap on that to latch it down and hook it to one of the frame members so that the door doesn't get away. That prevents a lot of door damage. We're going to close this up and lock it down like so. I'm going to check to make sure we're latched top and bottom. And my bumper is secured and the reflective tape down there is in place. On this side of the trailer, we're looking down the side of the trailer here the same way we did on the other side. We're looking for damage. We're checking the reflective tape. We're going to check our hazardous materials placard to make sure that's closed up, and we're looking at our lights. On this side we have an ABS light. If this light comes on, goes out, that's fine. If it comes on and stays on, that means there's a problem with the ABS on the trailer. Mud flap and bracket here that we're checking to make sure it's secure. And as we did on the other side, we're going to look across inside the wheels, and we're looking for broken or missing suspension or brake parts, oil leaking out of that wheel, or any damage to the inside of those tires and wheels, rims. We come down here, again the same thing we did on the other side. There's 4 tires. They should all have 100 psi. The surfaces should all look good. They should have more than 230 seconds of tread. There should be nothing stuck between the tires and no daylight between the rims, which would indicate a loose one. And while we're here, we're going to look at any air lines, electric lines, airbags, anything to do with the suspension or the brakes. We're just going to check under there and look for anything that might be broken, missing, or loose. We're going to check our aerodynamics here. on the side of this trailer. As we go, we're looking at the tape. We've got a turn signal that's working right there. Here, we want to make sure that the landing gear needs to come all the way up, like so. And it needs to be released into neutral, and raised up and put in the cradle. We're going to check our mud flaps brackets. Another quick look under here. Normally when you hook up, you would check your fifth wheel and make sure those jaws are locked around that kingpin. We don't want to see any daylight between the bottom of the trailer and the top of the fifth wheel. We want to make sure that the fifth wheel is properly mounted to the frame and that the slider pins here are through the rails. We're looking for any damaged, broken, or missing brake or suspension parts that we might see from here. And we're going to do the same thing here with the wheels and tires. We're going to look for a loose wheel. We're going to look for any debris stuck between there. If we're looking for loose wheels, we would see some daylight between those rims. And we're going to go ahead and hit all four of these tires. We're looking for 100 psi, 230 seconds of tread. We're looking for surfaces that have no damage. They're in good shape. All four tires are the same size. Sidewall hose has no cuts or bulges. The rim has no cracks, dents, or welds. All of these lug nuts are tight and in place. No rust indicating a loose one. This hub is on and secure. And my valve stems and caps are on. And the caps are tight and the valve stems are undamaged. And we would do that with this wheel. This wheel has no cuts or bulges in the tire, no cracks, dents, or welds in the rim. The lug nuts are all tight and in place. The valve stems are undamaged and the caps are in place. Hub is secure and not leaking. I don't see any rust around those lug nuts, which would indicate a loose one. I'm looking at this fender of paramount importance. One of the most important things you want to do is make sure that that handle is all the way in. This handle needs to be all the way in and secure. There's several different types of fifth wheels and locking devices. The best thing you can do for yourself is make sure you understand how that fifth wheel looks and how it locks before you hook up to your first trailer. These air lines have rubber grommets in them. These rubber grommets, you want to carry a few with you because they get cut, they wear out, they get damaged, and sometimes when they're weak enough they'll fold over on you. If you have an air leak in your rig and you're having trouble holding air, this is one of the first things you want to check, is where these connections are made. And you want to make sure that these rubbers are in good shape, there's no damage to them. And then when you hook it up, you go to a 45-degree angle and you drop it down and lock it. And if you just look at it, those rubbers need to be married and that thing needs to be locked down square and straight. You want to check the condition of your air lines, check the condition of your electric line. You want to make sure when you're making this connection that you push this all the way in tight, and then you want to drop that cap down so that this little leg on this cap locks over that little pin on this electric line so that it can't wiggle out on you going down the road. When you go to take the electric line out, these two little spots to pull with stick out. You want to pull on them. You don't want to pull on the cord. If you pull on the cord, you could pull this thing apart. Same thing with the air lines. You want to grab on the metal part when you hook them or unhook them. Don't be grabbing on these springs or down here or you're going to break these air lines. It's a typical problem. So then we're going to go ahead and we're going to check these air lines and electric line all the way down through just to make sure there's no chafing or rubbing or cracks or exposed wires. If they are, that's a DOT violation and that's a problem. Again, here we're checking our steps, overall condition of the back of the truck. From here we can get in a little closer, take a little closer look at the drive line, air lines, electric lines. We can look inside that wheel for any problems with the moving part. On this side we're looking at the fuel tank. We're looking for any signs of leaks, making sure our cap is secure. From what we can see here, this quarter fender is secure, storage door is latched. Overall condition of the truck here looks good. This is our, this blue cap is for the DEF fluid. We're making sure that this is secure. This door works good and is secure. Mirror is secure. Our steps are secure here. And our aerodynamics are all solid and in place. Our hood is secure and locked. And that brings us to our last wheel. And we're looking for 100 PSI in this front tire. We're looking for 4 seconds of tread. We're looking for a good tire surface with no damage. No cuts or bulges in the tire, cracks, dents, or welds in the rim. Our stem is secure, undamaged. The cap is in place. Lug nuts are all tight, no rust indicating a loose one. This hub is secure and there's no leak to it. That includes this part of the walk around inspection for the pre-trip inspection. Being a new truck and trailer, we didn't have to wipe off the lights as we went, but we made sure we looked at all the lights, looked at all the tires. As far as the outside of the rig is concerned, this one's ready to go.